Good evening, boxing fans. This is a Rattlegion Broadcasting Network TV Party Tonight Extra boxing commentary. Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. brought to you by DAZN. DAZN. I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Rattledge. And joining me tonight, as they always do on these boxing extravaganzas, first, our lead commentator, our boxing expert extraordinaire, Mr. Toxic Masculinity to you, Patrick Mullen. How deep into your Nargisets are you there, sir?
Those are gone.
When did you start?
I probably, sun was out, a couple of hours before NXT, sometime between 2 and 5 p.m.
And did you? What was it? A case? A 6-pack? How many did you have?
I had 12.
Oh my!
But there was moonshine and Tito's, so yeah.
Did you go to a party?
No.
Okay. Just hanging out with your bad self?
Pretty much.
Terrific. And our second chair tonight, the spiritual Howard Lederman of our group, ladies and gentlemen, fresh off his coverage of UFC, Gustafsson versus Smith from Sweden. Ike is from Sweden. I, of course, like meatballs. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. The last word to you, Robert Winfrey. How do you do, sir?
I mean, that event was just so dull. Just so dull.
Anthony Smith done messed up Gustafsson so bad he sent him into retirement.
Gustafsson's been flirting with the idea of retirement for a while. He said a few times that if he can't be champion, he's probably going to go do something else. And it's one thing to lose to, the John Jones and the Daniel Cormier. Jones again, because, Jones and DC are generational talents, if not like once ever. Those are very, very special fighters. But his fire was even a little bit starting to diminish going into the Jones fight, and Jones, beat him up pretty solidly. I think he's had kind of one foot partially out the door for a while now, and this was just the excuse to finally get it over with.
Speaking of 1 foot out the door, are we even remotely close to fight time here?
I think we're getting there. I feel like we're ready for walkouts any minute now. A fighter could show his presence any minute. You never know.
Neither fighter even has their gloves on.
Yeah, I see Brian Kenny. I see Sergio Mora for some reason.
Yeah, he was on that show with Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard. And
why are there flags in the ring, and why is the canvas green?
First of all, honestly, you guys should look up this video on YouTube of Sergio Mora just for your own amusement. He's sparring with a 67-year-old Roberto Duran, and Duran is just lighting him up with ease the whole time, and he can't hit him. And Duran's in jeans. It's fantastic.
So let me say this before this goes any further. I have two things I need to say, and I need to get this off my chest. Number one, I think Gustafsson should learn to wrestle. Then he can show up to the next GCW Bloodsport in 2020 here in Tampa. That's what I think Gustafsson should do. With that said, I want to thank Pat for hipping me to Bloodsport. It's my new favorite thing. I started my morning with this. I got up this morning. I had my bagel with lox because I'm a Jew, and I sat down and I put on the fight app, and I saw.
Is Duran actually wearing his glasses in this sparring?
No,
I can't quite tell that, but yeah, he's in street clothes.
And I saw GCW Bloodsport, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport this morning, and it was the start to the best birthday ever. It was just what a wonderful day this has been. All right, back to boxing. So, Pat, if you could sober up for just a moment and tell us.
Good luck with that.
Joshua, 4 inches taller and has 8 inches of reach on Ruiz Jr. for the tail of the tape.
This should end quickly. All right, Pat, give us the 50 words or less on this fight. Andy Ruiz is stepping in as a replacement fighter. How do you see this one going? What kind of threat does Andy Ruiz represent to the one true heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua?
Who's also ducking Deontay Wilder.
That's a debatable question about being
Okay. Let me rephrase the issue there. They don't want to fight each other, so they're not going to.
Well, Deontay Wilder doesn't want to fight Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury doesn't want to fight Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua is going to beat the piss out of both.
Yeah, Deontay Wilder.
Apparently, Wilder and Fury agreed to a rematch.
You just stole that from me. Yeah, I was just going to say Deontay Wilder announced on Twitter today that I think after whatever the next Tyson Fury fight is, which is coming up soon.
Yeah, some Euro bump.
They're going to meet for a second fight sometime in the future, and I'm sure it'll be just as horrible as the first fight. Go ahead, Pat. Let's talk about this one. I'm sure it will.
So the threat Andy Ruiz poses is that of a banana peel, where if you do not know where you're going and you just flagrantly step in such a direction and there is a banana peel lying there, there's a good chance you will slip and then fall and then potentially hurt yourself. And that banana peel is a heavyset Hispanic man named Andy Ruiz Jr.
So
not to be confused with John Ruiz, who was a heavyweight of many years ago.
So what we're saying here is if Anthony Joshua maybe does meth or cocaine or something before the fight, or is otherwise distracted, maybe his manager dies right before the fight, something along those lines, he might be a bit distracted, and Andy Ruiz could take advantage. Otherwise, this is.
I know your manager dying had you all messed up inside.
Okay, this is hilarious. Duran is just clearly getting the best of Mora everywhere. Thank you for letting me know this exists. This is so great.
For sure. It's such a great video.
Incidentally,
for anybody who's ever tried to tell me that Sergio Mora was any type of good, here's a 65-year-old former lightweight champion just having his way with him, lighting him up in jeans. So fuck you.
Wearing a belt.
Even
if with a belt.
Even if Duran is God, which he is.
No, the only way Joshua... I think the best chance Ruiz has is that Anthony Joshua has secretly been married to Courtney Love for 6 years, and her constant nagging and just existence has made him suicidal.
No, but if you marry Courtney Love, she murders you.
That's right.
Dude, Cobain killed himself.
Nope.
Courtney Love doesn't have the mental capacity to orchestrate a murder.
It doesn't take a mental capacity. It takes money and the appropriate redneck to put the shotgun in his face.
Dude, he killed himself because he realized how bad his music was and that he'd been just living in this terrible, terrible facsimile of drug-induced reality for basically his entire life, and the world was better off.
Hey guys, who's got more brains than Kurt Cobain?
The wall, the floor. You should teach that one to my son. He likes corny jokes.
Does he like Frank Bruno, who we're seeing a video of? That's Chris Eubank.
So, I don't quite understand why DAZN felt the need to do this, because, if you're Showtime or HBO, and, or you're doing...
I don't understand DAZN as a whole, because the service sucks.
Or you're doing boxing on cable television where you have to sell commercial time and you're into a block of time, so you have to eat up a certain amount of minutes. Okay, so I get the extra packages. This is a streaming service. Can we get the fuck on with this?
No, dude, DAZN sucks.
You have clearly not been exposed to that much of the UFC's programming on ESPN Plus.
No, but I did see 106 Toy Story 4 commercials today. The same exact commercial.
Yep.
Hey, you know what doesn't do that? The Fight app.
I'm just saying, ESPN Plus, despite being a premium streaming service, runs ads.
Yes, it does.
And it annoys Jeff to no end. It annoys me a little bit.
I mean, look, it's still also $5 an hour. $5 an hour. $5 a month.
DAZN, because the service is terrible.
I heard an interesting argument about why UFC Fight Pass is still around.
Okay.
And I think part of the reason...
Was the answer Jews?
No.
Welcome to the Rattleton Broadcasting Network, everyone.
No, the answer was that there's a lot of content on Fight Pass that that if it were to leave Fight Pass would probably wind up on DAZN. And so they're keeping it around more as a kind of a screw you to this alternate streaming service. Oh, you can't have this boxing promotion. You can't have kickboxing or jiu-jitsu tournaments or any of these other things that you might want to diversify your platform with.
Cool, look at that. My glass is empty.
Oh, God, that sparring was so great. Thank you for that.
All right. Do we have any other pre-fight analysis here, or what have you got for me, Pat? You got to have something in your repertoire of boxing analysis.
Look, it's very, very simple. Over this shitty, horrible streaming service that I can't say enough bad things about, you're going to see the best heavyweight fighter in the world. And, the problem is there's nobody in his league, and there's nobody who is promoted to be in his league that's willing to fight him. And therein lies your biggest problem. He's already fought and beaten better fighters than both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Combined.
He's fought Charles Martin, who's probably better than both of them. He's fought Vladimir Klitschko, who, despite the loss to Fury, is a better fighter than Fury. So it's one of those things where you watch him because you want to watch just the best available heavyweight with talent there, and you want to see him do incredible things, and that's fine. But if you're looking for him to be challenged, I'm not going to lie to you, it's probably not going to happen.
Look, Ruiz is, and I say this without... I'm going to phrase this in a way that could be taken as a pejorative. I don't mean it as such, but he is the prototypical fat man with fast hands in combat sports.
He's the Ace Romero of boxing.
That's not a reference I get.
Like a Joey Beltran or a Fabio Maldonado.
Ah, okay, got it.
He does have fast hands. He can throw combinations. Like I said, he has... listen, he's an offensive-minded fighter, which is good. And I even think he'll win the second round of this fight just by being busy. But I think Anthony Joshua is just going to overwhelm him and break him down and stop him sometime around the 6th or 7th round.
You don't know who Ace Romero is?
I know who AC Baby is.
No, I know who you know who he is. But I thought you don't watch MLW, you didn't watch AEW?
No.
Okay, so Google it real fast. Then when you're done with that, Google Barrington Hughes. Because those two I want in the main event of WrestleMania next year.
I will not subject myself to that.
Rob, MLW actually puts their shows up on YouTube now instead of just being sports. So if you got time to kill, some of them are fun.
I might have a look at that then at some point in the future.
Like, honestly, you guys would love Mance Warner. I'll say that.
They're on the Fight app. I just haven't. It's like the one thing that was on my list of things to watch today that I just never got around to.
Right, but for those who don't have the Fight app, MLW's live YouTube page, or not live, but they have a YouTube page that does broadcast the shows. You got Pillman Jr., Bulldog Jr., Teddy Hart, L.A. Park, El Hijo de L.A. Park, Sammy Callahan, Low Key. There's a lot of good guys in MLW.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent assemblage of talent.
Tom Lawler, heavyweight champion of the world.
And there it goes out the window.
No, he's doing good stuff. I like Tommy.
He's one of those guys who's a much better professional wrestler than he ever was fighter.
Can you imagine
he's a poor man's Matt Riddle?
Can you imagine can you imagine a future where Matt Riddle and Tom Lawler wrestle at WrestleMania?
Tom Lawler, no. Matt Riddle, yes.
Well, no. Yeah. According to Triple H, and again, as I said earlier about the Velveteen Dream, I say the same thing about Matt Riddle. Please just leave them in NXT until Vince dies, and then bring them up, because those two...
and then have Bromania?
Yeah, and then have Bromania. Velveteen Dream, Matt Riddle, main event, WrestleMania. It's destined. Destined. The new Steve Austin and The Rock right there.
Hey, Velveteen Dream is a darn good professional wrestler.
Agreed.
We see Anthony Joshua walking out finally.
Yes. This only took an hour and a half.
I watched some broadcasts from British boxing over the last few days. I've been on a Mike McCallum kick in terms of watching a particular fighter.
Interesting choice.
I don't know how much of Mike McCallum you guys have watched, but if you want to watch a very technically sound, no wasted motion, excellent fighter, McCallum is a great case study in point.
What weight class?
He fought junior middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight.
Okay.
So he's fought a lot of names people recognize, names like James Toney, Roy Jones, Donald Curry. He fought a lot of guys, but he fought a lot of British fighters, such as Michael Watson, Harold Graham, and those fights were not initially broadcast in the United States live. They were broadcast on tape delay later on. So it's always funny to me to listen to the Sky Sports commentary, because for every balanced Sky commentary you hear, like the fight with him and Watts and Harold Graham is very balanced in my opinion and fair. But then you have the fight with him and Michael Watson, where commentary is basically giving Michael Watson every round, and then he just demolishes Watson, I believe, in the 11th round after just punishing him for a while. And they're like, where did this come from? We don't understand.
Well, I thought he was doing quite well there.
It's like the second best call ever by British commentary, other than when Harold Graham fought Julian Jackson. And, like, if you've never seen it, Graham's winning every minute of every round of this fight. And Julian Jackson just hits him with one counter right hand, and Graham just sinks, and the commentary literally yells, "Oh no!"
That reminds me of my favorite Mike Goldberg call of all time.
Just the one where Anderson Silva has precise precision.
No. Like I'm not riffing on his stupid verbiage in this instance. I have two, and they're both related to surprise, surprise, the same fighter. The fact that he just completely ignores everything Rashad Evans does up to and including the knockout of Chuck Liddell. If you actually listen to the, I mean this in all seriousness, if you rewatch that fight and you listen to Goldberg's commentary, it's so bad that on the final exchange he calls Liddell's uppercut rather than Rashad's overhand.
So Pat,
and then the best one is when Shogun knocks him down with that left, and Goldberg just very sadly goes, "Oh no!" and then has to be quiet for a few minutes while Rogan actually calls the action as he's sobbing into his beer. If the machine that powers Mike Goldberg actually has emotions.
So Pat, I was trying to teach Jonas. We were hitting mitts the other day, and I was trying to teach Jonas bob and weave drills, and so I don't hit him, in the side of the head. I tell him duck. And I showed him how to bob and weave, and I showed him what to do in the drill. He has decided that every time I yell duck, he's going to take a bump.
So the correct thing to do as a parent would be to kick him every time he does that.
I'm looking at there.
And then he will realize, oh, this isn't the best idea.
I think I did. I think he'd throw himself on the ground. After the third time, I said, Jonas, stop taking a bump. I need you to stand up and just duck. And my fat ass actually demonstrated a bob and weave, and then he did it again, and at that point I just kicked him.
So, yeah, now you need to have him start watching videos of Jack Dempsey and Joe Frazier.
Darn right.
I could barely get him through Adam Cole versus Johnny Wrestling.
That's because, one, it's like 7 hours past his bedtime, and two, they were hitting fucking finishes that either one of these guys wouldn't get up from.
Fair enough.
And look, a Canadian destroyer on the floor. I wonder if that will actually be the finish. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know at what point in history finishers became a thing of the past in wrestling, but boy, do I miss it.
Look, I think I said this in the group chat. This is what happens when a bunch of dorks watch old tapes of All Japan and Noah, when there was a very specific match style that revolved around, we have like 2 or 3 moves that can believably end a match. We're also going to probably have to hit them more than once. And this is just baked into the reality of the style that they wrestled. And then everybody has one real F you, if I hit this, it's genuinely over. And they just used it like, Kenta Kobashi hit all of like 5 burning hammers in his entire career. That's how rare they are. And it seems like all these theater nerds who went into wrestling looked at that and went, so what if we did all that, but then also you kicked out of the match killer? That seems to be the mentality. It's just stupid.
Mark, I'm also very disappointed that you did not see Jed and myself at Bloodsport.
I was looking, and I swear to God, I thought I saw Jed. But you guys said you weren't sitting in the entrance aisle, and I'm telling you right now that there was a guy sitting in the entrance aisle that was Jed's twin brother. But anyway,
we were not. We were hard cam second row.
But here's what I was going to tell you. I think that's why I enjoyed Game Changer Wrestling's Josh Barnett's Bloodsport as much as I did, because it looked like believable wrestling. Josh Barnett versus Suzuki didn't, but the rest of it.
Neither did Frank Mir doing anything other than rolling his way down the aisle because he's fat.
A lot of it looked fairly believable, and it looked like it. I mean, it was definitely a little bit more mat based than wrestling used to be, but it still looked fairly believable. And you could convince somebody who had never seen anything like this before that these were shoots instead of works. And I kind of missed that about today's wrestling, where so much of it is now finisher, go home. Like that's the style of wrestling we're currently in. Like, hey, I kind of miss when this used to look like wrestling.
Minoru Suzuki stared defiantly at me when I offered to shake hands, as if I was going to back down, and I didn't, and I shook his hand.
Don't get me wrong. Him versus Josh Barnett was straight out of late 80s, early 90s WWE, but still.
I was going to call it late 80s, early 90s All Japan.
Fair enough.
Mark's not familiar enough with Japanese wrestling. He's too racist.
Thanks, Robert. All right, speaking of racist, let's watch Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Anthony Joshua. I think we might actually be about ready to take their robes off.
They're still singing anthems.
Are they really?
Okay, let me ask you this then, Pat, because
we need to kill time.
We need to kill time, and this gets brought up all the time whenever a fight like this comes around. It's talked about all the time how there's never been a Mexican heavyweight boxing champion. There's been plenty of great Mexican fighters. I'm curious, is it just that there's not a lot of Mexican heavyweights? Or is it just that they've come up in the wrong era?
The average Mexican's 5 feet tall.
I'm asking. I am aware of that. This is a bit of a genetic aberration, but it's not unheard of.
It's more to do, honestly, with the lack of nutrition available to Mexicans. In all seriousness, that they're not able to grow people to a certain size, where not only while maintaining that size they can be athletic. That's why you don't have a heavy amount of Hispanic players in the NFL. Hispanic in general heavyweights in both MMA and boxing are very rare. They're not impossible. They're just rare. It just does not happen often. And a lot of times when you do see them, they have the physique of a Joey Beltran, or in boxing a Chris Areola, where they're just very heavy and not athletically built.
You also have the issue of the Aztec and Mayan genetics in that area of the world, which were traditionally short people of stature.
Short people got no reason to live.
I was about to go into the history of the actual Latino cultural group, but I think that's a better. I think Pat's response was better.
It's a story about a bear and a bunny that comes along, and then the bunny lost his family, but the bear becomes a new family. Something like that.
Yeah, they're actually announcing the judges.
Yeah.
Hooray. Okay, I mean this in all seriousness.
No, you don't.
Okay, mostly seriousness. I sit through a lot of crap. All right, I do. I sit through crappy movies because Mark makes me. I sit through poor. I suffered for literally years watching UFC events on Fox Sports 1 that would routinely run from first prelim until sign-off over 6 hours. I think the average was like 6 hours and 20 some odd minutes, and there were some that ran longer. I mean, the event today was not as bad, but yeah, it was pretty bad. It started at 8. It was about a 5-hour event, I think, but they also lost at least one fight in the week to the build-up. I think they had another one fall out previously they just didn't replace.
Yeah, and I say this in all seriousness. For you to have to cover that stuff, God does not want you to live.
No, God wants me alive so I can continue to suffer. I've made my peace with this reality. But when you get to a big boxing match like this, I don't think there's anything worse than the pacing of an event like this, where the previous fight ends and we have 40 minutes, exaggeration, but not by as much as you'd think, of downtime especially for a bunch of ridiculous pageantry. Like, why are we still singing national anthems?
I'm fine with pageantry if it's well done. Like, I think it was me and Mark were watching way back when the Vladimir Klitschko-David Haye fight.
Oh, boy.
And, no, I'm not even talking about the fight. We all know that was terrible. But
no, I know what you're talking about. The ridiculous opening.
Where they had this crazy opening with all the lineal heavyweight champions of the past. And then, it got to the point where George Foreman is there in person and, sitting there with the newspaper. And, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, and introduces Vladimir Klitschko. That was cool. Nothing after that was cool.
I mean, I like David Haye's entrance. David Haye's entrance
didn't David Haye not actually show up for half of his entrance?
Yes.
They set off the pyro and they set off the pyro for that fight, and he just wasn't there.
David Haye had a Triple H entrance.
We're in the center of the ring getting instructions, guys. We're about to go underway.
All right. We'll get started in 20 minutes then.
Andy Ruiz looks like a cholo who just got out of lockup in Central Booking.
Did. Yeah, no, he was in admin confinement, and then they walked him to the ring.
I mean, I wish I could say you're incorrect in that assessment, but you're not.
I said 6 rounds. I feel like I'm being generous.
You are.
All right. Folks, if you turned into this podcast to hear us analyze boxing, we're finally underway. Hot diggity. And we start off with a left to the body from Ruiz.
Ruiz is real soft, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
His belly button is showing. Good Lord, you don't do that.
And I mean, he's not Ace Romero big, but he's too...
He's just giving Joshua targets for all of Joshua's body work, which is...
For everybody who's not aware of why I'm saying that, your belly button is the line where you wear your trunks. If his trunks do not fit over his belly button, good Lord, what is going on?
So Andy Ruiz
more area to hit.
Andy Ruiz Jr. looks like one of the guys from the FX Tough Man contest.
I missed those. Those were great.
I was looking for them online today because I really wanted to start a podcast where we would review each episode, one episode at a time. And I can't find where it's streaming anywhere.
Wait, you'll do that, but you won't do the World's Strongest Man contest?
I didn't say I wouldn't.
All right, well then let's work on that one.
Okay, fine. Where is the entire series streaming?
I've got them all on YouTube.
Yeah, no, those exist on YouTube, I believe, in their entirety, going back to at least 15 years.
YouTube account called HIT Strongman.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we're not trying to cover boxing. All right.
So basically, Andy Ruiz is stalking behind the jab here.
Yeah, but the jab is Joshua's, and it keeps hitting him.
So Joshua's just encircling at this point, playing defense. Ruiz can't make up the distance. He can't get past Joshua's reach, even though Joshua isn't throwing that too many punches at this point.
Oh, this is going to end with body shots.
Yeah, that was a nice jab to the body from Joshua there. Ruiz has nothing for him at the moment. He's going to have to really corral him, and his footwork isn't good enough to actually do it.
What are the Vegas odds that Andy Ruiz's shorts are going to fall down mid-round?
Well, Joshua's a 15-1 favorite, so I'm saying the shorts are probably 3-1 favorite over Ruiz. But here's the thing. I don't like Joshua leading to the body because he's going to open up opportunities for Ruiz upstairs. And while you're still in the first 3 rounds, I would still consider Ruiz dangerous.
It's heavyweight. The first 3 rounds are always dangerous.
Yeah, but if he's going to go body and then quickly head behind it, I'm fine with that. And there's Ruiz trying to work something in, but just Joshua's catching all of it on his gloves.
I would say after round 3, Mexican Porky's gas is going to be gone.
Yeah, Joshua's game plan here seems to be just wear him down slowly and safely with body shots, jabs.
He hurt him with a jab there. That was a stinging jab.
I'm guaranteeing you somebody from DAZN told him, do not end this before round 5.
Someone told that to Deontay Wilder, and then his opponent realized, oh crap, if this goes 5, he's going to gas and I'm going to knock him out. So we better audible the finish.
Yeah, so he took a Jonas bump.
Yeah. And Joshua looks very relaxed in his corner.
Yeah, he's barely sweating.
He looks like he's getting a blowjob. He's just like, eh.
He married?
No, I think he's smarter than that.
He's young too. He's what, 20-something?
Yeah, he's 28, I believe.
And he's probably wondering what he's doing in this fight other than collecting a paycheck.
He's collecting
Well,
a
this
paycheck.
is what happens when the other 2 shitbags won't fight you.
Right.
I mean, again, he was supposed to fight. This was for those unaware. This was supposed to be him and Jarrell Miller, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which while still heavily favors Joshua, is a more compelling fight.
Yeah, I think Jarrell Miller is better than Fury and Beyonce.
Well, Andy Ruiz Jr. is just winging hooks at Joshua.
There it is. Turn it into a Cholo bar fight at some roadside cantina. Sir.
I was going to say, when I said, apparently he can hear me through the app because I said this looks like a tough man show, and he was like, that's a great idea.
Well, look, he came to the realization that he can't outbox Anthony Joshua, as though that wasn't patently obvious based on every known quantity of both men leading up to the heat death of the universe.
So in his corner between rounds, he started the channel Butterbean?
Yeah. I mean, look, again, he's not going to outbox this guy. He's just not.
See, the only thing that you see Joshua do that if I was in his corner, I would tell him, I don't want to see you do that, is throw a single jab to the body and not follow to the head immediately, because I don't want to give Ruiz any opportunity. And when you bring yourself down to his eye level, again, we're still in the early part of the fight. He's not gassed yet, and he has fast hands, especially for a heavy-set guy.
Well,
I don't want to see him doing that. If he's jabbing to the body, he better be coming back with 2 to the head right behind it.
The other problem is that there's such a height difference between him and Mexican Porky that every time he goes low, he has to almost bend over, which is leaving him open for an uppercut or a hook from Ruiz.
Yeah,
Ruiz can't throw an uppercut. There's too much chafing along his arms and his flank.
And Ruiz throws an uppercut, and oh, we've got bacon.
But the thing is, he can minimize the risk of that if he follows by not throwing a single body shot. He needs to come back upstairs to the head, especially with the jab, and just continue to use that jab to either force Ruiz back or just protect himself from a counter right hand while being defensively responsible with his own right hand. And there he threw a right hand over Ruiz's jab, and there a left hook, which got him, which we'll probably see more of.
Yeah, Joshua's left hook has always been one of his money punches, and I mean the left hook's a great punch generally for an orthodox fighter, as long as you can properly position it. Because if you don't, you're out of position, and then you tend to get countered. But Joshua's more than a talented and hard-working enough fighter to know when to use what the weapons at his disposal.
Yeah, and Beyonce Wilder doesn't even throw a left hook, so there's that.
He doesn't throw punches. He just he does the old
Shotay!
He does the windmill thing with his arms. Like, all right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to walk forward, and if you get knocked out, it's your own fault.
The Lisa Simpson method.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we see round 2 of this sparring session is ended. Mark, did I legitimately ruin Deontay Wilder for you when I told you, yeah, he sucks because this, and this, and then you watched him and saw him?
I have eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, but you were, despite knowing that, you had for a long time also kind of gone, you know what? I like watching this guy fight.
That hasn't changed.
It should.
For me, you got to remember, when I first discovered Deontay Wilder, I think he had just become heavyweight champion, and I saw clearly there was an effort to push him, to market him, and I enjoyed the marketing packages behind him. I root for people to succeed, and I thought, okay, well, it's been a while since we've had an American heavyweight champion that people could identify with and relate to. I thought, you know what, maybe this will be good for boxing. I didn't realize how much he sucked at the time.
The last one of those we had was Evander Holyfield, and the people who related to him were drug dealers who were busy knocking up 3 different women at a time.
Right. So I thought, well, hopefully, maybe this will get more people back into American boxing. Maybe this will generate some interest, and these are all positive things. I didn't realize how much he sucked at that time. I have come to realize that over time. But at this point, I'm, much like The Big Bang Theory and How I Met Your Mother, I'm committed. I'm committed until this ends.
You are not committed, Mark.
No, you don't.
All you have to do is stop.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
It's not that hard.
Good Anthony
Lord.
Joshua drops him with a left hook.
Yeah.
He was looking for that. Whenever Ruiz has tried to pop off with his right hand, Joshua snuck a left hook in, and he's touched him with it but hasn't thrown it with authority. There he did, and he dropped Ruiz, who, to his credit, does not appear overly hurt, just he got hit very hard and put on the seat of his pants.
Trying again to drop him with those same hooks, not having as much success this time. And, for fuck's sake!
Ruiz got a left hook in. And Joshua's down.
Andy Ruiz Jr. with Deontay Wilder's type palm strikes, or as Pat has said, shotes.
Look, this is what happens, again, at heavyweight when you get a little bit sloppy, and Joshua got a little bit punch-happy looking for the finish there.
We've got Roadhouse happening, folks.
And I don't understand why Joshua decided to go toe-to-toe with him when he was having his way from a distance.
Ruiz has developed a nice little shiner on his right eye from that left hook.
Get some elbow and some kidney shots in. That's a good boy, Ruiz. Throw those dirty shots.
That's right. Dirty this up.
It's what he's got to do to win. He's got to get in there.
He can't outbox this guy.
No.
Yes.
So you dirty this up, get in his face, throw a headbutt or two. They're not going to stop it. This is Madison Square Garden in 2019.
I'm surprised they went through the. I'm surprised they went through the effort of putting a ref in there.
And he hit him again with that left hook because Joshua's just kind of hanging out on the outside, not really taking him seriously.
So
and there was a headbutt.
So how many people in charge of who are financing this app kill themselves if Ruiz wins?
None.
Yeah, none. This app is based around Canelo. You know that, Mark.
True.
Yeah, look, Joshua isn't a proven commodity in the United States. This is his first fight in the United States.
So we're saying that they just needed content. That's what this is.
And now
he's
throwing.
Well, no.
It's dead body jabs again.
It's not just content. They're taking the opportunity to try and grow this, again, the best heavyweight in the world, by and large.
Who is struggling? Oh, Jesus Christ! So,
this is the funniest thing in the world. When I said that,
clear knockdown. That is a clear knockdown.
Well, this is a 10-8 round for fucking Ruiz.
No,
it is now.
It's a 9-8.
No, it's a 10-8.
Ruiz got dropped in this round.
Yeah, but you have to give the winner 10.
Really? That's stupid.
So technically it could be a 10-9, but I'm scoring this a 10-8.
Yeah, that's why I came up with 10-8.
Fair enough. No, this is... when I joke that Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder, it's not because he's not as good a fighter. He's a much better fighter than Wilder, but this...
I bet I'm guaranteeing you, if Ruiz ends up winning this fight, Deontay Wilder goes on Twitter tomorrow and is like, when are we fighting, Anthony Joshua? When?
No, he'll challenge Andy Ruiz immediately and blow off the Fury rematch. And you see, where did this come from? He hits the left hook. That's the one that... Ooh, how did Ruiz not break his right arm there?
Okay, I'm calling it now. If Andy Ruiz Jr. beats Joshua for the title tonight, he fights Deontay Wilder in Texas.
He does. But you see, where Joshua made the mistake is, again, he went inside with Ruiz, and we're still in the wheelhouse of when Ruiz is dangerous. And I believe I said Ruiz would win the second round.
It's the third, not the second, but you were correct.
So,
But yeah.
so I'm off by a little bit, and largely because he would be more active than he was.
Oh
And-
God,
and it's
yeah,
because
that
of-
he fell down in a hammerlock. Ow.
Yeah, and it's because Joshua was throwing lazy punches to the body and not in combination. Then when he got close enough inside, he started throwing combinations with his hands down in Ruiz's wheelhouse, giving him the only chance he had to win.
Yeah. Some shockingly bad decision making by Joshua there. He's so clearly the superior fighter in every respect that, again, you gave these guys one way into this fight. Joshua is now looking at that banana peel on the floor, going, "You know what? Maybe I won't slip on it. Let's just see what happens."
Now, the referee's starting to warn Andy Ruiz for those kidney shots. He should just still take them and take the point if it happens.
Well, he's not going to win this thing on a decision. So, I mean, I think the first 2 rounds went to Joshua, and that third round was 10-8 for Ruiz.
Agreed, so it's an even fight.
Yeah, but he's not winning this thing on points. Come on.
Joshua gets the left hook in again, but he's kind of fallen in love with being in the pocket too much with this guy when he shouldn't.
No, you want to talk about Stefan Struve levels of not wanting to use your reach.
It reminds me of Evander Holyfield fighting Burt Cooper.
Why is that,
Okay.
Pat?
Well, Evander Holyfield was very clearly a superior athlete and even a superior technician to Burt Cooper, who was known as a dangerous puncher early in fights, but who would gas out and not give you much after a certain point. Holyfield decided to go toe-to-toe with him in his hometown of Atlanta, and Holyfield got dropped for the first time in his career and was in serious trouble of losing the heavyweight championship to journeyman Burt Cooper.
Was Holyfield known for not bothering to use his reach?
Well,
It was
that's
less
the
about the
time.
reach and more about the strategic decision making in that case. Again, yeah, Burt Cooper came really close to winning before he did what Burt Cooper pretty much usually did against anyone who was any good.
Ran out of gas, dropped his hands, and probably got knocked out.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Well, Burt Cooper was awesome.
Also true.
Rest in peace, Burt. And you see Joshua here much less willing to engage at this point, sitting on the outside like he did the first 2 rounds. Ruiz got frustrated, actually dropped his hands and kind of dared Joshua to come on a little bit. And I think hopefully Joshua's corner, Robert McCracken, telling him, that is a bad idea. Please do not do that again.
No, what he should do is cover up a bit. Don't take damage going in, but get in close with Joshua, and then again continue to rough him up. Instead, yeah, don't play into Joshua's game with sitting on the outside waiting to be jabbed. All right, so we're in the corner with Ruiz here, Pat. What are they telling him other than, again, don't sit on the outside?
They have to tell him to make it ugly, and every time that Joshua throws that body jab, Ruiz should either be jabbing with him or throwing a right hand over the top of it, a hook-style right hand, to club Joshua with when he tries to reach in with that. Because Joshua's still throwing one at a time of those, and if you do that and you reach in and you drop your hand, there is a good chance a smart counterpuncher will catch you. And, he's already given Ruiz a lot more respect than he deserves, and that's how Ruiz got into the fight. Now, I think that was a better round for Joshua just to get his legs back under him. But Joshua needs to start working his own right hand into the fray because Ruiz is still throwing short jabs to get inside, and Joshua can counter right over the top of the right hand.
Robert, who would you give that last round to?
Yeah, it's almost a draw round for me. I might lean towards Joshua if I'm going to lean.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, he just got his legs back under him, but despite it being mostly a recovery period for him, Ruiz still really struggled to score with meaningful offense over the course of the entire round.
And Joshua's leading percentage-wise with power punches, 34-30.
Yeah, and again, those power punches under the stats, they count. When Ruiz is throwing those kidney shots in the clinch that are just arm punches, those are counted among the power punches landed.
Ugh,
Now, you
really?
see Joshua feinted the right hand over the jab there. Ruiz backed away. Joshua needs to continue to feint with that and come back with the left hook if he wants to bait Ruiz and get him like he did in that round where we saw 3 knockdowns.
Pat, explain to the people why Anthony Joshua insists on keeping his left hand at his waist, where it doesn't belong.
Well, he doesn't. He wants to invite Ruiz into his power range, and by dropping the left hand, he's encouraging Ruiz to take more chances. As you see right there, they trade right hands. The problem is you need to have the proper defensive reflexes to be able to utilize that. You need to be able to tuck your chin and shoulder roll. You need to be able to quick step one way or the other depending on what punch is coming at you. And if you don't do that, you will get caught by leaving your hand down there.
Right. Floyd Mayweather was really, really good at that because his hand was practically in his pants, but he had enough speed and technique and fluidity that he was still able to deftly avoid punches, shoulder roll, etc. So he could afford to do that. Joshua doesn't seem to have nearly the hand speed or the reflexes of a Floyd Mayweather.
No, and go ahead, Robert.
Again, some of that is just the size of the individuals involved. You're not going to get too many heavyweights, legitimate heavyweights that have the kind of foot speed and hand speed and reflexes necessary to execute that kind of a defensive plan. And that's not a knock on the division. I have no problem throwing shade at heavyweights in general. This one isn't one of those things. It's just a reality of being a guy that big.
Joshua feinted that left jab to the body and came upstairs with the hook. That was the best punch he's landed since being dropped twice.
Yeah, Ruiz is starting to bite on those feints a little bit too much. I mean, again, I get that he's outgunned here by and large, but Joshua's really going to start drawing him out with those. Every little motion of his shoulders, Ruiz is starting to react to a little bit.
All right, and then I think Ruiz just landed an overhand right.
It was picked off. He landed a short jab behind it. Now, the problem with where you see Joshua doing the lean in, Joshua is extending his upper body too far out over his lead foot. When you do that, you're off balance and much more likely to be dropped.
Yeah, his posture every time they really engage is so odd. It might just be the size difference, but it's just weird.
Well, I mean, I'll put it to you this way. The first amateur fight I ever had, I fought a guy who was 8 inches shorter than I was. And we weighed the same.
Dang.
And that should probably tell you in terms of physicality where we were. One guy looked very lean and light. The other guy looked like he was carrying a spare tire under his trunks. Now, to do that, I simply stayed up top. I didn't go to his body. Granted, it was a 4-round fight, but I made the conscious decision not to do that because I didn't want to put myself in danger. Joshua has not done that, and as a result, he's gotten dropped twice. And there he's scoring with the left hook again. And now Ruiz is more stationary. He's not bobbing, not really weaving. And
his legs are going. It's pretty clear that Ruiz's legs are starting to leave him.
Ruiz takes the center of the ring. You have Joshua sort of circling on the outside. Not circling like that Korean guy did earlier in the UFC fight. Jesus Christ. He was practically skipping around the ring.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't as common as it is.
Lots of feinting going on here. Kind of just Joshua's throwing his left arm out there. Technically I guess it's a jab, but he's more just sticking his fist out there.
Yeah, that's a feeler. That's not a real jab. CompuBox will count that as a jab, but he's really just trying to touch and feel and draw a reaction or just keep distance. But again, he's reaching in. There you see he eats a counter punch. He's got to stop reaching in. He's got to make Ruiz come to him. And Ruiz will come to him.
A pretty decent left hook there from Ruiz.
So it's funny, because when they tie up and Ruiz is throwing shots into the kidneys like that, he's not digging with them. He's just kind of, flapping his arm into there almost nonchalantly instead of really making it count and digging it, maybe trying to go underneath the rib cage.
Well, and here's the other part. Like, we just saw a clinch there. Joshua was pulling back from it, not doing anything with it, and then Ruiz with a couple body shots inside. That's what he's got to do. Joshua didn't lean any of his weight onto Ruiz, make him carry the weight, didn't use his height, and now Joshua's getting lazy inside defensively when they clinch, kind of just relying on the referee's command to tell Ruiz to stop punching. If you got hands free, you could punch.
See, this is what I hate, because you introduced me into an Anthony Joshua Klitschko fight, and he was fighting differently. It was a much better fight, a much more technical fight, and then it's like, okay, I get a chance to see this guy fight live, and he's fighting like he's on ether.
Right, and he's getting very easily hit right now. Good right to the body from Ruiz, a left hook upstairs. He missed the roadhouse left hook, but it's almost like he's in a daze. He's not even trying right now.
No. Maybe his manager did die before the fight.
And he's talking to him.
And his wife told him he can't do it.
God, Adrian's terrible.
She really is the worst woman in the history of Hollywood.
That was a very good round for Andy Ruiz Jr.
Yeah, I'd give him that round. I'd absolutely
pretty
give
clearly.
Him that round. Yeah. So it's like, 3 rounds to 2 for Joshua?
Yeah,
but there is the 10-8.
Yeah. Now, if I'm Robert McCracken, I am slapping the shit out of Anthony Joshua in the corner. And I don't mean verbally. I mean, I'm literally open-handing and just whapping him.
He might want to just take down his pants and hit him with his dick. Maybe that'll wake him up.
I mean, Robert McCracken was a good fighter for a long time. He was in he was a middleweight, and he fought for a world title once. But he coached the Olympic team. He did very well for himself as a trainer. And I don't know what's into Joshua in this fight, but there's just no motivation there. I get that taking on a late sub is a difficult thing, but if Joshua showed up like this to fight Jarrell Miller, I think Jarrell Miller would have knocked him out already.
Yeah. Jarrell Miller would not have let him out of the third.
All right, we are into round 7. This has already gone. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, we've got Roadhouse here. Andy Ruiz is... no, that's not really a knockdown. He kind of tackled him there. But it was after...
Yeah, that was a club behind the head. I would not have scored that a knockdown.
Nope, but he's getting the count anyway. Andy Ruiz just opened up and laid in a series of wild hooks.
That'll be his only meaningful offensive burst in this entire round.
And Joshua's response is to wink his eyebrows at the camera.
And now that was a legit knockdown.
Yeah, that was a legitimate knockdown. I don't know what's going on here. Joshua looks almost, honestly, like Oliver McCall when he fought Lennox Lewis, but the opposite.
He looks like he's about to cry.
Well, that would be Oliver McCall against Lennox Lewis. He looks manic, which is odd.
I'm starting to... Oh, shit, they called it.
Yeah, this is weird.
I'm wondering what's going on in that guy's head. Now I'm questioning the psychology he went into in this fight.
I don't know why that was stopped. Unless he said something to the referee.
Maybe I give up.
I don't know.
Boss.
This is a strange one.
This is bizarre. All right, in case you're not following, you're just listening on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network, Andrew Ruiz Jr. just won this fight against Anthony Joshua and is your new heavyweight champion. Which belt is this, by the way?
The belt.
Terrific.
One of them.
It's good analysis, guys. Thanks.
This is very odd, and I say that not because wow, who's that chick on the right? She's all right.
Yeah, she's pretty hot. Probably his wife.
But I say that because Joshua's in full possession of his faculties, congratulating Andy Ruiz, and this is weird.
All right, so as I said, your next fight for Deontay Wilder is against this guy, and they'll be doing it in Cowboy Stadium. Mark my words.
Well, we've now had a Mexican heavyweight champion in boxing, so that talking point's dead.
I almost will guarantee you that we'll hear tomorrow about Joshua checking into rehab or something.
Yeah, no. As somebody in the mental health profession, there is clearly something wrong with him mentally, and it was going into this fight. I mean,
on the plus side, Deontay Wilder can renew hostilities between Black and Brown and knock this guy out in 20 seconds after Ruiz takes the payday to take the dive.
Because there's no markings on Joshua's face.
His left cheek's a little swollen and his nose is bleeding a little bit, but it's not.
They trade left hooks and he actually gets the better of it, but Ruiz starts clubbering with the right hand. He gets a good one in. He's covering. He gets clubbed behind the head, which is not really a knockdown, but they called it one. And Joshua's kind of a little bit stunned by that reaction, we'll call it.
Yeah, there's just something that was off about him. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're right that within the next couple of days we find out that there's something really bothering him in his personal life.
I want to see the second knockdown because he's not getting hit clearly. He gets good right hand in, and another right hand. I think this is maybe still a replay of the first. Yeah, this is a replay of the first.
Okay, so this
might be the second.
He hit him in the back of the head again. So he's gonna walk. He's gonna walk into the corner. The ref's gonna say, "Come here," and he's not coming. He's not stepping towards him.
Well, okay, the mouth guard's out, so the referee picks the mouth guard up. He can't see him, first of all, so he can't come to him. The referee's talking to him. Joshua appears in possession of his faculties. Referee's saying, "Do you want to fight?" It looks like, and Joshua nods his head yes, and then the referee stops it. And that's odd.
That is bizarre. Okay, so Andy Ruiz Jr., the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network has one request. Before your next fight, hit the road a bit. Do your road work. Lose some of that flab. Get some abs, maybe. Don't maybe not have as many tacos. And let's get into some shape before your fight with Deontay Wilder. Let's get those shorts up, buddy.
Look, again, he's going to take a payday to take a dive against Wilder because that's what happens.
All right, so what belts are those?
The WBA Super Belt, the IBF, the WBO, and IBO.
So if Deontay Wilder beats this guy, and he probably will, because Roadhouse, does that make Deontay Wilder then the super heavyweight champion?
He would be the undisputed heavyweight champion at that point.
Yeah, he'd have all of them.
Okay, well, folks. That's the fight that we need to see next. Then we really don't need to see Herky Jerky versus Beyonce Wilder 2.
Except Herky Jerky, I really feel will win that fight.
God, can you imagine Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Tyson Fury? What an ugly mess that's going to be.
See, I don't think it would be. I think Andy Ruiz just doesn't give a shit and wouldn't do the normal stuff you do against Tyson Fury, where he freezes guys. And this is odd. Anthony Joshua is posing happily with Andy Ruiz and his trainer for pictures. This is weird.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that kind of this kind of reaction to that. Something's. I don't think anything was screwy or corrupt, but there is something off about this.
No, I don't think. I think he checked out before the fight, and he walked in there thinking, "Well, I'll just beat this ham and egger, and I'll go deal with whatever's bothering me." And then this guy fucking hit him in the head one too many times, and he said, "All right, I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah, something's weird about this, and not in a good way. Like when Oliver McCall fought Lennox Lewis the second time, and McCall was clearly having a paranoid schizophrenic breakdown because of his addiction to crystal meth. That was one thing. That was literally Lewis was hitting McCall with devastating punches that McCall was not reacting to, which is normal because McCall had a great chin. But he then refused to fight, was crying. this is as strange a thing as I've seen in terms of reaction since that.
What if it's the other way though? I mean, we make jokes and we're only semi-serious about DAZN pushing Canelo and giving him fights that he doesn't deserve, by on the cards. What if something happened behind the scenes here?
If they're doubling down on being the streaming service of the Mexican people,
yeah,
I highly doubt that.
I don't know how many Mexican heavyweight boxers are there that could conceivably compete at this level.
I mean, listen, Andy Ruiz has had 2 fights against heavyweights ranked in the top 10 prior to this. He lost to, good Lord, Joseph Parker from New Zealand. And then he beat Alexander Dimitrenko. But this is a Dimitrenko who was well removed from his days in the top 10 and had just lost to Bryant Jennings. So, there was nothing there that would indicate this as a strong possibility or anything of the kind. I mean, for odds makers to list this as 15-1 in favor of Anthony Joshua, that's pretty staggering.
That's only some of them. He was higher depending on where you were. Joshua was like a minus 2,500 favorite in some places. So he was, again, you could find more than 15-1 odds in his favor.
Yeah, and look at him being jovial after this is I've seen my share of heavyweight title fights. I've seen my share of heavyweight title fights where a guy loses. Now he's trying to grab the microphone. He's not there.
I don't know if one of those shots to the back of the head really knocked something loose in him. But yeah, there's something really off about him right now.
Do you guys have the sound on? Because I don't know what he's saying.
I don't have the sound on.
No, but I can try to turn it on here in a second.
Well, at this point, it's over. All right. Well,
hang on. I think I'm a little bit behind you, so I might be able to hear.
They're trying to interview him.
He puts over Ruiz.
And now they don't want to talk to him. They're talking to somebody in a tuxedo.
He puts over the crowd a little bit. He implores Ruiz, I believe, to represent the Mexican people, and then walks off.
That's odd.
I might be mishearing that. I'm not standing by that, really, at any rate.
All right, let's see what we can find here on Twitter before we call it a night here. Still a lot of feedback about the NXT show and comparisons to AEW.
That it was so much better,
all right,
and it wasn't even that great of a show.
Bill Simmons, I'm just stupefied, and it was a legit win, too. He beat the hell out of him. What just happened? And Kevin Clark put up a picture of Ruiz and said, this guy is the heavyweight champion of the world.
My favorite one in that same vein is him standing next to Joshua, and it just says, now I know what a perfect combat sports athlete's body looks like. Eddie Hearn's apparently saying they're going to try to do a rematch.
Okay.
Why?
Kevin Iole.
Yep.
Is you
not worth reading?
In your opinion, is Ruiz over Joshua a bigger upset than Douglas over Tyson?
Okay, here's the thing. It should be, but it isn't. Because Douglas over Tyson shouldn't have been seen as that big an upset as it was in hindsight.
According to FightNights.com, 7 minutes ago, Joshua spat out his mouthpiece. Quit.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
That would flabbergast me because, again, he was hurt and dropped against Vladimir Klitschko and came back and won. No, I'm not going to be able to explain this one.
Oh my God! So FightNights.com, Wilder Joshua will never happen, and then somebody replying to him, Wilder will kill Joshua.
The way he fought tonight, yeah, he will.
If he went into a fight with Wilder like that, yeah, that would have been over much faster. Because Wilder has, I mean, look, I mock his technique all the time because he's a terrible boxer, but he hits hard enough to stop a moose. Yeah, that was really odd. And, I mean, Ruiz should enjoy his fame for 15 minutes or so. And I don't see him winning a rematch depending on whatever is wrong with Joshua. And if he fights Wilder, I mean, you're not going to out-roadhouse Deontay Wilder. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, this is just odd.
Well, Hurricane Helms just congratulated Andy Ruiz Jr. And Andy Ruiz Jr. wrote him back. Much love, bro. We gonna win first, then have some cake and Mexican flag.
Not sure why the Mexican flag is involved in the consumption of cake, but okay.
Hey, Mark, what are you doing September 14th?
God help me, I'll be back to work, but let me look at my calendar.
Because you should come up to Atlantic City, because just announced 1 hour ago, not even kidding, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 2 from the Showboat in Atlantic City.
Probably not going to make that, but I will definitely watch it on the Fight app.
Wait, they're interviewing Joshua again.
Okay, everyone, well, let's turn this up and let's hear what he has to say. What's going on, Rob?
Hang on, I gotta adjust my...
Okay, update.
He says he's trying to play this positive, like this proves he has power in him and that he just wanted to get in there and finish the fight. Just got asked about the Klitschko knockdowns relative to this. He just said this isn't his night. Actually just said it's good for TV and good for DAZN.
Great.
Asked about him protesting the stoppage. He said, I want to fight. This is the weirdest post-fight interview from Joshua I've ever seen. This is not how he normally talks. He says it's about the long game, not the short game. He's trying to set up for some kind of comeback, but...
Against who?
Makes no excuse. It was his own fault. He got caught. Says he would have preferred this to have been Deontay Wilder, because Deontay would have paid him to take the dive, I assume. He does have an immediate rematch clause. And says he's 100% going to exercise that.
Ian McCall. This is why boxing can't have nice things.
He just... Yeah, that's an odd post-fight interview from him. Still had the towel on his head that whole time. I mean, again, that was just odd. And again, I'm not saying anything, I don't think it was dirty. I don't think he took a dive or anything, but that was just odd. I wish I had a better adjective for it.
According to the Fight Ghost, PBC, is now in total control of the heavyweight straps. This is not good.
This feels like what MMA would be if Paul Wintello won the UFC title. Don't fear Andy Ruiz. Fear the consequences.
Another one from the Fight Ghost. Rematch clause in effect. Hearn Days Joshua Ruiz 2 in UK, November.
I wonder if... Oh, God. This is going to sound so stupid. But I wonder if he didn't take proper preparatory action relative to fighting in the States for the first time. I mean, again, there's a time difference. He lives he's fought in London, so I'm not going to claim it's an air quality thing. But I don't know, man. I wonder if if there was something about the location that threw him off, or some accommodation he has in the UK that he didn't have here that messed up his prep work.
This in from Cody Rhodes. Holy Ruiz, and then he posted a gif of The Rock from Jumanji going, wow.
All right, good for him, I guess.
That's it. That's kind of all I got from Twitter at this point. All right.
Yeah, he's really happy. Like, Joshua looks like he has the ambiance of a man who won the fight. Okay. That is so weird.
And
anyway.
this in from JBL, the Mexican Rocky. I love this. Pretty boy just got his ass handed to him. Good shit, pal.
Yeah, JBL is useless.
This in from Ian McCall again. If you're managed by Eddie Hearn or thinking about it, run.
That's fair.
Pat, any final words before we say good night on this very weird podcast? Okay, I'm not looking at my computer. I don't know if we lost Pat. Robert, any last words before we say good night on this very weird podcast?
I was on mute and didn't realize it because I was trying to listen to Joshua's interview.
Okay.
Weird interview.
It was very, very strange. He's on drugs. Like, I'm sorry. He's on drugs, or he was paid a lot of money to lose this fight.
So this in from one of our friends in a group chat. Why is Luis Guman the champ?
It's a fair question.
Not wrong. No, in all seriousness, he's either on drugs or he took a dive. And I'm betting it's drugs.
He looks less like Luis Guman and more like Julio Iglesias. Oh, not Julio. What's his face? Iglesias, Fluffy.
Gabriel
Iglesias, yeah.
So I had to run through like 4 or 5 Iglesias.
Because Anthony Joshua was on meth. If he were on meth, he'd be more awake.
No, his eyes are super dilated. He's awake. He just doesn't care.
I'm going, this is pills. He's on, like, Dilaudid and shit. Roxycontin.
He found he found them Quaaludes.
Because it's the 70s?
Why not?
Well, do they even make Quaaludes anymore?
No, but they just get more potent with time.
No, he's on meth.
No, he's not on meth. I've seen meth. He's on opiates.
Opiates or opioids?
Opioid. They're the same thing.
Oh, how dare you, sir. And I call you a medical health professional. I can no longer refer to you as such.
He's on Dilaudid or pain pills. He's on some sort of opiate. All right.
I like that Andy Ruiz has the AR because it reminds me of Ace Romero.
I hope Ace Romero accompanies him to the ring and Barrington Hughes accompanies Deontay Wilder. That's what we need. One more time. Pat, final words. Go.
Kids, this is why you don't do drugs, or if you do drugs, you don't do them at certain times. That way it doesn't hurt you.
Getting ready for a heavyweight title fight is not a good time to be imbibing.
Okay, so this was a bizarre night. Tomorrow, we will review NXT 25 All Hail the Super Kick. The otherwise known as the death of the finisher. Otherwise known as NXT TakeOver 25. It's Godzilla week all week long here on the Rattlage and Broadcasting Network. We've got we're already up in the archives. I made the mistake of having my kids on a podcast. Remind me never to do that again.
No, we should try that again.
Have you listened to it?
No, not yet.
It's a nightmare.
Well, that matches the movie you were talking about then.
So my son, who couldn't take the fact that my daughter was getting all the attention because she could actually, believe it or not, make a coherent point every now and then about the movie, decided he was just going to scream through the whole thing and make ridiculous sound effects. So there's that. Or he would, if someone would say something, he would then say, "I'm that," and whatever. So there's my son screaming in the background, my daughter who overtalked over Alexis and Jesse until I finally changed it so that she could hear them, and then she only talked over them half the time. But
she's a small child. They think they have the most interesting points.
They really
do.
Mark,
that's why you gotta throw kids in a garbage can.
Well, I don't want to do that. I like my daughter, but I don't think she's quite ready for the podcasting world just
I
yet.
like how you left your son out of that statement.
So anyway, you can go ahead and check out this nightmare of a podcast that we did, a commentary over Godzilla 1998.
Terrible movie.
Which I now have to rewatch.
No, save yourself.
Before on trial this Thursday. In the meantime, we've got a review of Godzilla, King of Monsters, on JMU Hollywood. We've got the comic book.
Here's a spoiler for that movie. Mark hated it. I loved it. No, that's how these things go.
No, I enjoyed it. It was a
what
fun
movie?
Godzilla.
The most recent
New
Godzilla.
One?
Yeah.
Hey, the
right.
the autistic kid I brought with us didn't think it was too bad.
Oh God, why did you have to bring that into this? Nobody cares.
Fantastic. In the middle of all this Godzilla-ness, we've got Jesse's one pick on the Metal Hammer of Doom this year, A Legion, Apoptosis. And then we take a break on Friday. No podcasts on Friday. No podcast on Saturday. And then we pick things up again Monday, June 10th with the Dark Phoenix / X-Men week. We've got X-Men, the Dark Phoenix saga. Otherwise,
Did you see the news about why there were so many reshoots for this crappy movie?
No, please go on.
Apparently their ending was basically the same ending as Captain Marvel.
Terrific. And
they just couldn't have two movies that close together and with a glowing woman flying off into space.
So we have the Dark Phoenix, or otherwise known as Chris Claremont, is a wordy bitch on Monday.
Yeah, he sucks.
We've got
there may not be a bigger shitbag writer in comics than Chris Claremont.
I don't know. Tom King seems to be taking that mantle up these days.
Go ahead and fucking come at me, ex-nerds, you fucking bunch of queers.
Safe to call. I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of overlap between X-Men fans and people who are going to listen to us comment on a boxing match badly.
I don't think anyone's listening anymore. Anyway, so we've got a review of Dark Phoenix on June 11th. Rob's going to join us for a review of Oakley Dokley Howdly Toodly. And then
on, Flanderinos.
And then on Thursday, we'll have an on-trial for X-Men 3, The Last Stand, the first stab at doing a cinematic Dark Phoenix movie. Nothing on Friday.
Seriously, guys, Last Stand was really, really bad, and for some reason, the same writers did this one. Who thought this was a good idea?
So is it really the same writing team?
There is a person, I don't know if it was a writer who's now the director or a writer who's once again a writer. There was something like that, but yeah, you have one of the same principals that was involved with X3 who just really decided, you know what, let's try this again once more with feeling. It's good shit, pal.
So on Saturday, June 9th, we've got Josh Warrington versus Kid Galahad. We've got Maurice Breedis versus Christoph Glowacki on DAZN, and Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwartz on ESPN+.
Mark, we could finally have a Jewish heavyweight champion.
Terrific. Well, which one would that be? Oh, Tom Schwartz?
We've had them. Hang on, we've had Jewish heavyweight champions before, just way, way back in the day.
So does that mean we're going to do boxing coverage of that? Huh?
It's absolutely not.
Ah, damn it. So all three of those boxing matches we're not bothering to cover, correct?
God, no.
Terrific.
I mean, look, Mark, if you want to put yourself through the pain of watching them, I can't control what you do with your free time.
Oh, no, I can't.
I would rather watch Ken Shamrock versus Dan Severn 2 4 times in a row.
The following week, we've got Andrew Graham making a special appearance on Source Material. We're going to look at Gotham Central Book 1. We'll have a review of Dan New Hollywood Men in Black International. We'll be reviewing the new Rum.
Hang on. Men in Black International might not be the worst thing ever.
We'll have a review of Rammstein's new self-titled album, Rammstein.
God, Mark, just cut my wrist now, please.
And then finally, all of us nerds are getting together to complain about the rest of you as we do a Screaming Boy podcast entitled Toxic Fandoms. That's right, we're going to complain about fans. So
God, this is just the worst of everything. This is the worst lineup I've ever heard.
Second.
So, the following week, we've got Heroes in Crisis on Source Material.
Mark, let me get on that Screaming Boy with complaining about fandoms, for the love of Christ.
Sure. You can join the rest, all 12 of us are going to be on that one.
We all pick one. Is there only one fandom I can call out and tell they're terrible?
We'll be reviewing Toy Story 4 on June 25th, the new Amon Amarth on June 26th. And then,
believe me, there's a reason that when you said that's the worst lineup I've ever heard, I went, it's not.
And then, Jesse and I will be reviewing Black Mirror Season 5 on June 27th. The boxing that weekend is Charlo versus Adams. Huh?
No.
All right.
Mark, I don't think you understand. I'm never doing a boxing show again.
Okay. And then we finally end this series of podcasts for this month with Jessica Jones, Volume 2, The Secrets of Maria Hill.
It just gets worse.
The last of the Red Hot Netflix Marvel series.
Do you not want people to listen?
Jessica Jones Season 3 on TV Party tonight, July 2nd. And then finally, the last plug of the night, we'll be reviewing the new Upon a Burning Body on the Metal Hammer of Doom.
You really don't want people to listen.
No, that one will do fine.
This is like Mark's trying to tank the whole fucking thing because he's going to go on sabbatical for a minute. So
Mark's pulling a Joshua.
No, I'm bringing my computer into the hospital.
This is Mark trying to blame his illness for the declining quality of shows, so that when he gets better, like he'll rebound so tremendously. And people will give him credit for this.
No,
in reality,
go ahead.
He's producing the Radulich Broadcasting Network equivalent of WWE 2019.
I almost want to read the July calendar just to see if I can have Pat have a stroke.
Go for it.
There's a fucking belt like around my neck right now. It's not tight, but it can be real quick.
July 8th, we've got a Source Material, Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 4, Legacy.
God, terrible.
We've got a review of Far From Home on Tuesday. The new Glory Hammer on July 10th, and then an on trial for Spider-Man 3 because we've already done the Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I can't do that one again.
Oh God, that's fucking awful.
On July 15th, we've got a Source Material, Doom Patrol, 2016, Volume 1, Brick by Brick. We've got a Damn You Hollywood for the movie Crawl. We've got a new Texas Hippie Coalition on the Metal Hammer of Doom. And then we've got a TV party for the DC Universe Doom Patrol on July 18th. Hey, there's a Pacquiao fight versus Thurman on July 20th. Huh, Pat? Huh?
So, everybody, I'd like you to know that the number is 1-800-273-8255 for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I want you guys all to know that even somehow with this shitty lineup, someone somewhere is listening. So, again, that number is 1-800-273-8255 or 1-800-273-TALK.
On July 22nd, we've got Cloak and Dagger, Shades of Grey from 2018.
See my message 5 seconds before this.
We've got a review of The Lion King, the live-action Lion King that's coming out. We've got a review of Sabaton, The Great War. And then we've got a TV party for Cloak and Dagger Season 2. And then finally, on July 29th, we've got DC versus Hanna-Barbera 3. We've got a review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from Quentin Tarantino. We've got a review of the new L7, Scatter the Rats. And then an on-trial August 1st for Pulp Fiction.
I mean, like, I get that, like, just because you have cancer, like, why do you want everyone else to?
Should I do August?
No.
No, this bit is done.
This is just the worst shit I've ever heard.
Okay, well,
I'm not even joking. This is just terrible. Like, I listen to this stuff. I'm not going to listen to any of this.
Okay.
Like, it's so bad.
I will say this. Pat convinced me that we will be doing a TV party in October. October 3rd. We'll be doing it for BH 90210.
Yeah, so 90s babies, come on out and have some fun, because from July to October, it's a whole lot of find other stuff to do.
Yeah, there's some decent stuff in there.
Is there really?
Yeah, we got Hannibal Season 3 on September 3rd. But we also have She-Ra Season 3 on September 12th.
Yeah.
What?
You just had to undercut your own point there, didn't you? You just couldn't take the win.
Yeah,
Hannibal Season 3. Great show. Great season of a great show. Just couldn't leave it there. Couldn't do it.
And then what show after Hannibal?
She-Ra Season 3.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Mark! Why are you still reviewing that? You want to capture that 0.04% of the population of the world?
Those shows, believe it or not, the She-Ra shows do very well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, because you know why? They all want to hear some shit. This is I'm okay, you're okay, I'm special. We're all just a bunch of special little fuckers. Fucking losers. Do you realize that She-Ra killed the Masters of the Universe franchise, and I'm not even kidding about that?
How's that?
Okay, not to get into a whole thing, but the Masters of the Universe toy line and cartoon show was hot property, and then all of a sudden they came up with She-Ra, and as soon as they came up with She-Ra, and I'm not making this up, sales on everything Masters of the Universe declined, because now girls were into it, and the target demographic of Masters of the Universe was like, I don't want to fucking play with girls. How is there a girl like He-Man? This is bullshit. I don't want to get involved in this. Fuck He-Man. I'm done. And that was it. And then all the fucking toy stores that were loaded with the Masters of the Universe line cut prices on all the action figures to like $3.99 clearance, put them all on the end caps, and then when they thought the damage had, sufficiently went away, and they tried this He-Man and Space deal in 1990, no, the cancer was still there. So they remade it in 2002, and it was fine, because they didn't do the She-Ra shit, and now they're just remaking She-Ra, because they assume if they remade He-Man, they would have to do that, and He-Man would just die a horrible death.
Yeah, there's actually... I don't know if you ever watched this series, Mark, but there's a Netflix documentary series called The Toys That Made Us.
Yep, I've gotten through part of it.
Yeah, the episode of Masters of the Universe goes into a bit of that.
Interesting.
See? So, again, not lying. Also, the She-Ra's for queers. What do you want to say? That's legitimately the audience. She-Ra's there for queers. People who can't figure out what bathroom to use. She-Ra, yeah.
Okay. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this presentation of a TV Party Tonight Extra boxing commentary.
If you want to have your spirits uplifted, Google Weird Al Yankovic, everybody.
That would be the second time in 2 days he's been brought up on one of my podcasts. It happens more than you think. All right, folks, that's it. Be well, be safe, and behave.